Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Julia Royston of PK Royston Publishing, Royal Media and Publishing, and the coaching community, the Book Business Bosses, where I help you get your message to the masses, turn your words into wealth, and be a book business boss. I trust that you're doing well today. I guess I got a frog in my throat and cold, whatever is going around. As a matter of fact, I just heard from my graphic designer who's not in the same area that I'm in, and he's like, I got the same thing. So I think it's sweeping through the world, literally, real literally. But I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And normally, when I'm not feeling my best, I try to dress how I want to feel and not necessarily how I'm feeling. But we're going to get it done today. And one of the main reasons why I didn't do something else or not go live at all is because it's if I don't deliver it, it's just going to explode in my explode in my head because all day and all night, and as soon as I woke up this morning, he said the same thing. So as they say, I'm gonna deliver my soul, and you all have a good rest of the day and a good week. So the topic today is don't skip steps. I've been saying that for a while, and been seeing a lot of things. I'm on social media a lot, so I look and I see people launching things, and I say congratulations, and I say awesome to you. But I encourage you not to skip steps. Even though you launch something, make sure you get a coach, make sure you get a mentor, make sure you get someone to help you along that process so that you don't advertise something that you can't deliver, or so that you find yourself in a situation and someone asks something of you that you can't do. Be sure and be honest with people and say, I don't do that. I can't do that. I do know someone who does that, and they can do that for you. I do that all the time. I've had to let my yes be yes and my no be no. Even if it could be profitable, even if I could do something, should I be doing something? So don't skip steps in trying to arrive somewhere faster, easier. Success takes time. Success leaves clues. Success needs mistakes. It needs lessons. It needs all types of things to make sure that you get what you need and you're able to have experience of what you need. And the scripture he gave me, of course, is very familiar. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. And sometimes, as they say, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but he does plan to give you hope and a future. There are some things I had prayed for that he said no to, and I'm so glad he did. There are some things that I was qualified to do, and we kept on going around on this path and never arriving to that destination. And I'm glad I didn't get there. I'm glad I'm on the path that I'm on. I'm glad I'm in the position that I'm in. I'm glad I married the person I did. I'm glad I live where I live. I'm glad it didn't look like what other people thought. It didn't look like probably even what I thought. But I'm glad I didn't skip steps, that I kept following God instead of following people. It hurt, it was painful, but I did not skip God's steps. I skipped other people's steps, but don't skip God's steps. So the plan that he has for you has a process. So it's like following a recipe. Now, my husband looks at recipes. He shares recipes because I don't cook. He just wants to know what I have a taste for. So he looks at recipes, but he can tweak the recipe. He follows the recipe unless it's something like, no, we don't want to eat that. No, we don't. He can tweak it. But God's planning is very specific. It has to be very specific because he has a specific place he wants you to be. You have to be qualified and and you have to be qualified in the way he wants you to be qualified. And then you're going to need some things in your tool bag, in your resource box, that you're only going to get through the process. So, short story. So most of you know I've been to a lot of school. I have 4 degrees, educated in a lot of areas. But sometimes I receive jobs and positions due to my experience. Okay. And then once I had the experience, and so they gave me the job. But they didn't give me the money because I didn't have the paper qualifications. I didn't have the education. I worked 7 years at a law firm, and I knew everything. I knew everything the other librarian knew. So she stepped down as the assistant, and I became the lead librarian. But they never gave me the money the other person did because she had more education than me. Okay. So even though I had the title, I had the responsibility, they didn't have to pay me the money. Okay. Fast forward, I went from high school and I didn't have a degree in education. I had a lot of library experience. I had 1 master's degree in library science, but I didn't have a degree in education. So they hired me, but they sent me back to school because I needed the educational piece. Okay. So I needed a degree in school librarianship, not just corporate law and medical that I had before. I needed education. So therefore I had to get a second master's degree. Okay. So that was high school, it was cool. But then my last 12 years of education, I went to elementary school. Baby, I have to give the PE teacher, Kay Hardison, all credit for this, for helping me stay in the building and not run out every single day. And thank God that check every 2 weeks was much better than the private school paycheck, or I would have run out of the building. Unbelievable. Now, understand, when I got to the elementary school, I had 3 degrees already and going back for the 4th one. But nothing that I had done previously helped me to be prepared for what I would face with those little bitty children. Because first off, y'all know I don't have any biological children. I have 4 nieces, but I don't have no biological children of my own. So therefore, I was in over my head. So I came to school early. I met with teachers late. I got advice from everywhere. I was on the fast track to learn how to handle this group of children. 600 children that were over the top, out of my experience range. So the plan has a process. You cannot skip steps. If you do, there's something that you miss. So with that, I was like, and even the elementary school that I did the practicum with did not prepare me for where I was with these children. Oh my Lord, I don't even have enough time to go through that. But the plan has a process, and we also have to go through the processing. Okay, so let's go back to the Bible. Moses had to be on the backside of the mountain for 40 years. David slew Goliath, but prior to that, he got a bear and he slew a lion, and he took down the giant with what he had. So the process includes your needing experience. You need the experience. I recently was at an event, and a young woman who started a publishing company, she's published books before, so she has experience publishing, but she hasn't published as many books as I have. She just, over time, she'll get there. She just doesn't have it right now. So therefore, I have the opportunity to coach her, mentor, teach her, and help her as she goes along, because I have 14 years and 350 books. Now, am I the best? Not by any means. Do I have a lot of experience? Yes. Should I be mentored by other people? Because I have coaches and mentors that help me in business, publishing, and everybody should have a Vanessa Collins in their life, because we need experience. Experience still is the best teacher. Your experience plus knowledge, whether you get it online, whether you get it through a mentor, whether you go to college, whether you get a 9-month degree, equals helping you be qualified. You still need experience. Start where you start. Use what you know and grow from what you know, but you also need to be able to be qualified and have experience in what you're talking about. Now, my father used to have the adage of, if human beings can do it, you can do it too. Yes, but I still had to learn. And if somebody says, have you ever done this before? I say, no, but I can learn it. Sure. I can understand it. I can watch videos. I can attend webinars. I can go back to school. I can get a mentor. I can get a coach. It's still experience and knowledge. Sometimes it's not college, but sometimes it is, equals qualifications. And that qualifications is going to be ongoing. I learned that in education. Professional development is ongoing. It never stops. So we're talking about those of you joining me. Thank you. Don't skip steps. Make sure you get all what you're trying to get. Get all that you need to get. And when you get to a stumbling block or to a stopping place or a place that you are unfamiliar, ask. Ask. The plan is a process. You will need the experience and you will need to be qualified. In my home church, we used to have testimony service. I don't think many churches have that anymore. But there would be people who would stand on the testimony floor and say, oh my gosh, I just thank the Lord. I got promoted to a position that I wasn't qualified for. Well, now that I'm 58, I know that they were qualified. They may not have been qualified on paper, but they had done the job long enough that they knew that they could handle the position. That's experiential qualification. You may not have the college or that knowledge, but you best believe when you get in a position that you have the experience for, but you do not have the college knowledge for, you're going to have to get your notebook out, get a textbook out. You're going to have to do it. Make sure you know the vocabulary. Make sure you know the language. Make sure you know the dress code. Make sure that you know those kinds of things so that you can remain successful. Now, number 4, when you don't skip steps and you get the experience and you get the qualifications that you need, you'll also be able to teach others. You'll be able to teach somebody else. This was a mistake I made. This was a lesson I learned. Don't do that. Don't go around that way. You'll be able to help somebody else on their journey, but you can't stop their process. Even though you may give them the straight cut route, and they not have to take the detour and they be able to make the straight shot, it still won't make any difference because they still have to do it. Whatsoever man do it shall prosper. They still got to be able to perform it. And then from there, you should be able to teach somebody else and train somebody else. Now, that you may think, well, Julia, that defeats your topic of not skipping steps. Baby, what I tell you and what you do could be 2 different things. Because if you don't follow the recipe, like my husband doesn't sometimes, and it tastes much better, or if you don't follow the recipe, you will not necessarily get the same results. My husband fusses about me when I'm coaching somebody. He said, you told too much information. I said, baby, that doesn't necessarily mean I want you to have all the resources and tools you need. That still doesn't mean you're going to get the same result as me. Because my favor, my network, my relationships, and the way I handle business may be totally different the way somebody else does it. They may take what I say and do the total opposite. But I don't want to skip steps on anybody else either. So the plan has a process. You need the experience. The experience plus knowledge, however you get it, equals qualifications. And that experience, when you don't skip steps, you're going to have the ability to teach others. And then finally, your legacy should include lessons and successes. Your legacy on this earth should not be everything was just wonderful. Because it wasn't always wonderful. There's going to be some detours. There's going to be some people that are going to disappoint you. There are going to be people that are going to fall through. They're not going to follow through with what they do. There are sometimes you're going to have to stand by yourself. Sometimes you're going to have to, it's just you and Jesus and one other person. All have left. As Jesus said, all have left me. So there may be sometimes that all leave. Sometimes you have to be qualified by, could you do it by yourself? If nobody else shows up, are you going to show up for you? Don't skip steps. The easy road is not the best road. The rough side of the mountain is rough for a reason, so you can grip the rocks and the hard places, so you can continue to climb step by step. Your nails in it, you're on your hands and knees, because when you finally arrive to that next summit or that next plateau, nobody will be able to tell you anything because you experienced it yourself. People want to speak on major platforms. Okay, that's wonderful. But before you get to major platforms, do you go live on your own social media? Ouch. Have you spoke, in the faith-based world, do you teach Sunday school? Do you, and I saw that not too long ago, because that was a qualification in my home church. You weren't going to preach nothing until you taught Sunday school. Until you what do you do? Do you serve anywhere? You weren't going to pastor a church if you hadn't ushered, if you hadn't sang in the choir, if you hadn't cleaned the church and done the baptismal pool, usher. I mean, something, Sunday school, drove the bus, drove the van. What? How you going to lead if you don't even know the parts of the organization and how it's run? How you going to skip over and all of a sudden go from the pew to the pulpit? Really? Not in my home church, you wouldn't. Because we needed to verify you, that you were faithful, that you were committed, that you were loyal to the church and loyal to people, that you had served and that you had worked. We wasn't going to be able to accept your preaching if you hadn't put in no time and made no sacrifice. You haven't had any opportunity for us to be the good stuff, the bad stuff, the ugly stuff. Have you been there when something failed and you needed to sweep up? Or no, it doesn't work like that. And people want to do the short road. They got that influencer model now, where you get an influencer, ta-da, it solidifies you, it verifies you, it qualifies you. But you can have that influencer all you want. You can get a celebrity endorsement all you want. But when it comes down to it, it's still what you know and what you can do. Because that celebrity endorser can only get you so far. What is your product for real? What is your service for real? What can you do for real? I know this one's an ouch one. Even Horace and half with a cold, I'm on here barking it out. Because when I, as they say, when I get in bed tonight or take a nap this afternoon, I want to be able to sleep and not know that him saying over and over again in my head, you didn't tell him what I said. You didn't deliver what I said. I'm just a messenger. So I hope that helps you today. He has a plan, but there's a process. Don't skip steps. Coming up in about 11 minutes, Live Your Best Life, envision-radio.com. My guest is Dr. Tasha Thompson Gray out of Chicago. And we could have talked for hours and hours and hours, but enjoy that at 10 a.m. You can always listen on envision-radio.com, Simple Radio, Audacity, Tuner, MyTuner, Radio.Garden, Get Me Radio, Media U, or download our free app on Google Play. And then after that, don't go anywhere. At 11 a.m. is Spike Davis and Friends. Tune in for laughs, music, and more. And then coming up on Tuesday, yep, I have a second show. Can you believe it? The Book Business Boss Show comes up at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on envision-radio.com. And episode 3 is what is a platform building book? What a platform building book is. And then we'll be talking about platforming building books for 3 episodes after that. And then coming up on a Wednesday, if you have written a children's book and you need help marketing that children's book, visit digitalmasterylive.com. Vanessa Collins. Yeah, it's me and Vanessa. We are going to be having a masterclass on Wednesday, January 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Register, go to digitalmasterylive.com if you've written a children's book. And I think that's it. And as I say, I'm going to put my voice to bed. And good morning to everybody. I love you all. I had to get that. Hey, Alex, how you doing? Ashley, hey, Miss Gwen. Hey, Miss Rita Oliver. Almost time for retirement, right? Qualifications. Hey, Stephanie. Hey, Miss Patrice. Yeah, absolutely. Standing still. Well, sometimes you're standing still in your own procrastination. I'll just say that, because it's not that you're not qualified, and it's not that you're not gifted. Sometimes you stand in your own way. So don't let fear stop you. Keep moving. I know exactly. And not when we ask exactly the clarification. Yeah. Stephanie, your legacy is going to be your lessons and your successes. Yeah. Well, and you, one thing about that lesson that you're learning right now, you'll be able to tell somebody else. You'll be able to teach somebody else. Thank you. They're the Richies in the house. You're welcome, love. You're welcome. That's my job. At this age and this stage, I should not be beating around the bush. I should be able to tell people, speak the truth in love, the Bible says. I love everybody, but I want to be able to speak the truth in love. Be able to let you know, don't skip steps. Because I've seen too many people go too far, go too fast, and then they have to backtrack and back around. I appreciate God for the slow road. I appreciate God for taking the steps in the path I had to take, being on the backside of the mountain for a while. And where's she go? Where's she at? What's she doing? I appreciate God because I came out stronger. I came out, what first thing is I came out knowing him. I came out being able to hear his voice and know him. I came out being able to stand on my own 2 feet. Now I have a wonderful village. I have a great village, but there are sometimes the village is busy. The village got other stuff to do. The village has their own tasks to accomplish. And I can't necessarily just pull on them like a string every time something happens. So sometimes I have to say my own prayers. Sometimes I have to anoint my own head with oil. Sometimes I have to get on my own knees because I can't skip the step. He's not going to let me. Because the old folks used to tell us, if you don't pass this test this time, you're going to have to come back around and do it again. Well, some of them tests, good morning, Fatima. Some of them tests, some of those lessons, I don't want to go through them again. Like statistics, I got a D and I was happy I skipped out of that class because I didn't want to take that class again. Because I knew it was so hard. I would take the D and go. Biology in high school. Oh, no, geometry in high school. They gave me 2 Ds and I skipped out of there because I hated it. It was awful. But I learned something, I learned something I needed to learn. Now, do I use geometry every day? Lord, no. I may, and I don't even know it. But the other piece, my point is, that was a part of my process. That was a part of me being who I am and having a knowledge and having information and having the ability to have had that experience because it qualifies me. And the last thing before I go, because y'all going to tune into Envision Dash Radio in 5 minutes. There is always, good morning, Lenita. There is always something else I'm going to be growing to knowing. There's always something else I'm going to have to learn. I will not stop growing and learning until I'm dead. That's when I stop. Believe you me, I'm learning new stuff every single solitary day about publishing, about companies, about people, about me, about my body, about my health, about everything, every single solitary day. and what I will do, what I won't do, and where I will go, where I won't go, everything. I'm learning something new. And I realize that when I stop learning is when I'm dead. That's just me. That's always, even if it's something I'm reading on my phone or article or a YouTube video, I'll always do that. So don't skip steps. Make sure you go through the plan and the process that God has for you. Have a great day. Bye.